What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with our final NFL Power Rankings. As always, you got to hit that subscribe button first to get us to 500 subscribers. We will be doing a giveaway of an autographed item that's going to be bigger and better than our last giveaway at 200, so make sure you guys subscribe, and that's all you have to do to be entered in our channel. But let's get into the video here, and at 32, the Indianapolis Colts are going to be the last place team of this year. This team just really doesn't know where they're going, and the only thing I can think of is that this team trades up to 1 with the Bears and gets a quarterback for the future. It seems like that's the only thing that they could do in this offseason that could be right, so they gotta do that. 31, the Houston Texans, almost in the same boat. Are they gonna risk it all to move up 1 spot just to make sure they get their guy? They could, but I just don't think that's gonna happen. I think they're gonna let the draft play out. They got a decent running back in Dameon Pierce, some wide receivers that are okay, and the defense, well, it's going to be better than it was last year because DeMarco Ryans is now the head coach, and he obviously showcased his talents this year in San Francisco where he was excellent. So this Texans team, could be back on track if they get their franchise quarterback. 30, the Chicago Bears sit with Justin Fields and the number 1 pick. And right now, they're probably going to trade it. But then again, there's also been some reports where they might trade Fields and go with their guy at number 1. So that's going to be the big buzz this offseason before free agency starts. And we're going to see how that pans out for them. 29, the Arizona Cardinals. This team, well, they were, written off as soon as Kyler Murray went down with his torn ACL. Cliff Kingsbury's gone. And, it's going to be interesting to see what this team does this offseason. D-Hop, he could possibly get traded to a contender that's looking for a wide receiver. And this Cardinals team, was a big disappointment this year. 28, the Atlanta Falcons surprised a lot of people by finishing 7-10 with that roster. The only thing moving forward for them is Desmond Ridder. Is he going to be their guy moving forward? Next year, I think he will be the starter, but a veteran behind him just in case something were to happen. If his play is just not what they want it to be. But he already has the pressure now next year in year 2 to be their guy moving forward. 27, the Las Vegas Raiders, and this team is another disappointment down here. Derek Carr got released already, and this team is in the market for a veteran quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo or Aaron Rodgers. And one of those two, I think, will be a Las Vegas Raider at the start of the season. But who is it going to be? That's going to be their biggest question. And Josh Jacobs, he wants a lot of money, and he's going to have to, maybe take a pay cut, not as much as he wants to be a Raider and to build around him. Denver Broncos at 26. Sean Payton is the biggest storyline for them, bringing in the offensive minds in the game to resurrect Russell Wilson after year 1 in Denver. I'm very surprised at how this team finished, even with Russ and what they've been through. 5-12 with all those weapons was still a little underwhelming. I thought 7-10 at worst with that team. 25, the Rams, they're just looking to get healthy going into next year. McVay is back, and everyone else looks like they're going to be back. But their thing is keeping Stafford healthy, and that's going to be improving the O-line in the draft. 24, the Carolina Panthers. And they are also going to be looking for their franchise quarterback. Frank Wright is the new head coach for them, but he's got to find that quarterback. If he doesn't, then he might be out after year 1. Is it going to be Stroud? Is it going to be Bryce Young? Or is it going to be someone else that we might not think who it's going to be? Could they possibly trade up and get their guy? Or could they go with Will Levis possibly? So Carolina has a lot to ponder about this offseason. 23, the Cleveland Browns kind of fell right where I thought they would be this year, 7-10, 8-9 area. Deshaun Watson will have his first full season with the Browns going into next year, and he started picking it up as, he only played, 5 games with this team, 6 games, and once he started getting in that 4th and 5th game, he really started finding his groove. So it's going to be very, very intriguing storyline come week 1 next year when Deshaun Watson and all of his team is fully ready for a whole season. 22, the Tennessee Titans are very, very surprised to be back here with Derrick Henry, and then what? That was pretty much the team this year. Those 7 wins were mostly all on the shoulders of Derrick Henry, and the defense was good in the first half, but then fell off. And is Tannehill going to be the guy moving forward? That's their biggest question mark. 21, the New Orleans Saints. This team is searching for a quarterback, but it can't be a high-priced quarterback like Carr. Maybe Rodgers, doubt it, but this team could settle for another veteran like Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he would be a great fit here, or maybe taking a swing on a rookie quarterback. And, Ian Book did not look like he was going to be that guy. And they just have a lot of problems right now all around the ball. Michael Thomas is making, I think, the most money right now in the NFL, and he didn't even play 4 games last year, so they might cut him to save some money there. But the Saints has a lot of rebuilding to do. 20, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, you got to talk about Tom Brady retirement, and now what are the Bucs going to do moving forward? Is it going to be Kyle Trask right away, or could they go and sign a veteran, maybe Jimmy Garoppolo? Jimmy Garoppolo will be the biggest name, not named Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers, that's going to be talked about this offseason, just because he could fit in almost 10 systems and immediately make that team a playoff contender. And the Bucs got to look that way. 19, the New York Jets, and the only thing that they're talking about right now is Aaron Rodgers and how they can make that happen. If they can do that, this team could really make the Bills' AFC East run these last few years a lot harder than it has been. And that division has been good, but you add another elite quarterback with Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen, and then even Tua before, he got concussed and the Dolphins team spiraled out of control, that this division could be the best division in football next year if the Jets get a top-tier quarterback. 18, the Washington Commanders surprisingly finished 8-1. Sam Howell looks like he's going to be QB1 entering the year behind Heineke. Obviously, Heineke, wants to start, but he understands what's going on, and that's why I love Taylor Heineke. He's a great team player. He's, a team-first guy rather than a me-first, and you would love to see that out of everyone, but the Commanders really got a good one in him. And then the defense with Chase Young. It'll be interesting to see how him and Sweat play next year going into 2023. 17, the New England Patriots come off a year where it could have been a little better, but it also could have been a lot worse. Bailey Zappi, really made this team look like it was going to be something, and then Mac Jones came back and they sputtered to a 8-9 record. But Bill O'Brien was a great hire to bring him in as an offensive coordinator and possibly give Mac Jones a second life. 16, the Pittsburgh Steelers are at the halfway mark and their highest ranking of the year, missing out on the playoffs, finishing with a winning record. Kenny Pickett looks great as he went on. Mike Tomlin still has never had that losing record in his career, but this team could push to become a playoff team, especially if the Ravens lose Lamar. That division is not going to be wide open, but it's going to be up there for teams that can compete, and the Steelers might vault themselves into a 10-win team next year. My Packers at 15, and the only thing that they're getting talked about right now is Rodgers going to retire, get traded, return, or that's pretty much it, the retreat. Maybe they're going to talk about the retreat too. But Jordan Love is going to be the guy that no one's talking about but should be talking about. He is more than ready to become an NFL starter, and if Rodgers returns, you got to wonder, is he going to ask for a trade to go somewhere else? 14, the Miami Dolphins come in, and this team is committed to Tua. We've already heard that multiple times, but Vic Fangio, bringing him in as the defensive coordinator is going to be a huge boost for Mike McDaniel and his staff. The Dolphins defense really lacked in the second half of the season, and that's where things fell apart. Obviously, not having Teddy Bridgewater and Tua contributed to that, but the defense did let them down a few times late in games. 13, the Seattle Seahawks come in after a year of uncertainty, and they find themselves in the playoffs thanks to Geno Smith. And if they keep him with DK and Lockett and Kenneth Walker, this team will forever be around 9-8, 10-7, 8-9, around there, just because of the consistency, what we saw of Geno. But, everyone might go into next offseason thinking, oh, it was a fluke year and whatnot, but I really don't think it is. The Seattle team with Pete Carroll at the helm finds their way to get it done, and you saw that this year. At 12, the Baltimore Ravens come in, and their biggest storyline is obviously Lamar Jackson. Is he going to be traded? Are they going to franchise tag him? Are they going to sign him? But that's the only thing that's really buzzing out of Baltimore right now. And the Ravens did finish 10-7. Tyler Huntley did earn a Pro Bowl appearance, if you want to count that. But I don't think he's going to be the guy moving forward. Even if they get rid of Lamar, I think they could look somewhere elsewhere. The New York Giants come in at 11 after another surprising team making the playoffs. But they, sputtered out in the playoffs to the Vikings. And, they beat the Vikings. And then they lost to the Eagles where they sputtered out. But they got to bring back Daniel Jones and Barkley, and they're going to sign one. But I don't think Barkley is going to be coming back to the Giants, so they're going to be having to look for a running back more than likely in the draft. And at 10, those Minnesota Vikings finished 13-4, breezed through the NFC North, and then lost on their home field in the first round of the playoffs to those Giants. And they made a change on defense, which was much needed, as you could see, progressing through the year. They brought in Brian Flores. And I think he is going to be possibly a head coaching candidate this time next year just because of his experience and how good of a coach he has been in the past. 9, the Detroit Lions. Yes, they didn't even make the playoffs, but they finished in the top 10 because this team, just went off in the second half of the season. They put themselves in the chance to make a playoff appearance at 4:25 on the last weekend and Sunday. Unfortunately, the Seahawks won. And the Lions did take care of business beating Green Bay. And they could have been playing in San Francisco that first week, but it didn't happen. And this Lions team, if they can hit big again in the draft, build around Goff, this team is going to be tough challenge for a lot of opponents this year. And saying that for the Lions, being a Packers fan, is a big compliment. 8, the Los Angeles Chargers. They got a new offensive corner, which will make Herbert happy with Kellen Moore, and they better not get rid of Keenan Allen or Gerald Everett because I think those guys are huge impact players for the Chargers. A lot of people are saying they could save some money doing it, but it would just be a big mistake if they get rid of at least Keenan Allen. But Herbert, is expected to sign a big contract this offseason to make him one of the highest paid players in the game, and I would be very shocked if that does not happen. At 7, the Dallas Cowboys come in after a playoff loss to the 49ers. The pressure amps up on Dak and Mike McCarthy, as it always does every year, and I'm getting tired of that narrative. I think the media pushes that, on them because it's America's team and whatnot. But this Cowboys team is great every single year, 12-5, 13-4, 11-6. They're always around there. And they take care of business when it matters most, but then when we come to the playoffs, and that's where we find them struggling to win that game. So I can understand the nagging for the Cowboys, but they need to chill on that just because they are taking care of business, where more than likely your favorite team isn't. 6, the Jacksonville Jaguars just miss out on the top 5, but they do earn their highest ranking to date. And this team is going to be a huge force next year. Doug Peterson in his first year made Trevor Lawrence look like a top 5 quarterback this year, and many can argue that he was towards the second half of the season. And the big thing for them, though, is getting Calvin Ridley back. Yes, the name that you probably don't remember getting traded to Jacksonville. And, he obviously got suspended this whole year, and he can now appeal to get reinstated, and more than likely he will. And that's going to be a huge addition to a team that already had a lot of weapons. At 5, the Buffalo Bills fall to their lowest ranking of the year in the final rankings. Their biggest thing, a pass rush, pass protection, and for me, a running back, not another receiver, because Josh Allen was this team this year. He bailed this team out so many times and whatnot. But then again, Von Miller going down on Thanksgiving was also a huge blow, and you saw a big difference in that defense moving forward. But what this team went through this year, injuries, DeMar Hamlin's situation, a lot of things. The Bills, you got to be happy as a Bills fan finishing 14-3, getting the job done. And, unfortunately, it wasn't the result you wanted in the end, but it's still a good season for a lot of teams. I'm sure a lot of teams would be wanting this position that the Bills are in. At 4, the San Francisco 49ers just fall short of a Super Bowl with a tough loss in the NFC Championship to the Eagles. This was because, Brock Purdy got hurt, Johnson got hurt, and Purdy went back in, and just threw little screens and handed it off. And so who knows what's going to happen here? Is it going to be Trey Lance? Are they going to re-sign Jimmy G? Is Brock Purdy going to be the starter? Quarterback question is the only thing surrounding the 49ers right now. 3, the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Shiesty and his crew just do it every single year, but the crew might be broken up. It's either T. Higgins or Joe Mixon are the 2 names that are getting thrown out there, and maybe some rumors that could be on the move to save some money and possibly get some more weapons, younger weapons around Burrow. I would be very shocked if T. Higgins is moved. Joe Mixon I can see being moved because his backup, Samaje Perine, has been a dog in this Bengals offense, and he could even just take over the lead roles of Mixon because he has been that good. But the Bengals just were a push away from a Super Bowl run. And at 2, the Philadelphia Eagles fall just short of number 1 because they lost in the Super Bowl. And yes, obviously you have to talk about the holding call that was called and the exchange of sense on social media. But the Eagles had a great season getting this far in Nick Sirianni's second year as head coach. Jalen Hurts played exceptional, was pretty much the MVP of the regular season until he got hurt. And he has said that he is now the franchise quarterback. But their concern is losing both of their coordinators, offensive and defense, to head coaching jobs. So they will have to fill those roles. And it's going to be interesting to see who they promote. And at 1, the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. For me, why can't they run it back? They got one of the best duos in all of football history, it feels like, in Kelsey and Mahomes. Their defense can get a little better every single year. It's easy to say. But the running game with Pacheco, McKinnon, and maybe even Clyde Edwards-Helaire, if he's back and healthy for next year, could be a 3-headed monster, which is very, very concerning if you're an opposing defense just trying to slow down that offense. And you got to give them credit. A lot of people didn't pick the Chiefs in the regular season, maybe going to the playoffs for sure, but not really making too much noise, and they silenced that out and got the Super Bowl victory. But that's going to be it for today's video. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below to be entered into our giveaway at 500 subscribers. But until the next time, Bench Buddies are out.